tomorrow I might not be able to keep the facade up so much. Yeah.
All right, well, it is time. We've got K1llsen from Germany, FraZe from Straya.
Yeah.
Let's get it on.
I'll leave you to that one. All right, but here we go. It's going to be FraZe on the red armor. K1llsen there as well. A little bit of touch and go with the machine gun as FraZe is going to be stacking up on armor, getting the first grab of Railgun, which will give K1llsen a late but solid grab of Mega Health, Rocket Launcher, and presumably LG.
So the interesting dynamic here is FraZe, he needs that LG, and he needs to find a way to secure this red armor. And I'm curious how much K1llsen will commit to this. Looks like he's taking the lower route actually and going straight for the fight there. Launching himself on, but deflected by a very timely air rocket there by FraZe, and that's going to give him the first kill. And he's going to have a really good run at this Mega and the LG. So it's a perfect start so far for FraZe.
That was an incredibly symmetrical fight. So, 5 health left over to make that first one happen. Being able to recover on both health and the armor still makes this fight for Mega kind of touch and go. However, FraZe needs to do a little bit of damage and then back off here, allowing K1llsen to hold a larger stack for the time being as he puts his back up against red armor. But this is a red armor that he could only have ever hoped for one rail out of.
Yeah, FraZe trying to bait K1llsen into the choke point to do some extra damage, but instead giving up the red armor. And definitely after a great 38 seconds, it's not going too well as FraZe perhaps gives up a little bit too much. Could have perhaps tried to, shovel in it, as it were, onto the Mega or onto that red armor to try to steal stuff away. And K1llsen, he's going to take full advantage. If there's any erring or umming going on in your gameplay, any indecision at all, he's going to jump straight in there and he's going to take control of the situation.
All right, so K1llsen looking pretty confident here at the moment. And again, this is a map where you really have to make that shift in gear between chasing the items and breaking away from that route in order to chase the player. There are so many places to recover, so many places to kind of bide a little bit of time, so many places to set up a trap. So doing a counter trap can be incredibly effective. And right now, K1llsen hasn't seen nor heard FraZe in a little bit. I can only assume he's still on the server. There he is.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I don't think have we seen K1llsen really railing so far. Not too much just yet. He's getting it done with the rest of the weaponry and some just smart positioning. And there's the Mega pickup. So 200-200, and we are definitely in this situation now. He knows that the red just went to FraZe, and he has a responsibility now to actually get the damage done to negate that red armor pickup, and not quite finding a good angle to catch FraZe just yet to get that red armor.
I'm wondering now if that trade was absolutely necessary. K1llsen allowing that pickup of the red. He probably could have thrown down a rocket and then recovered to the Mega, but at least this means that the red's going to be coming up significantly before the Mega. So again, a weird decision from K1llsen turns into a weird decision by FraZe as neither of them want to attack that red.
And Mega is going to be going towards K1llsen as well. So very passive play between both FraZe and K1llsen at the moment. And I feel like for K1llsen, this actually can work quite well because he can, again, try to capitalize on any mistakes that FraZe might make in the early portions of the game. He doesn't have to, he has time right now. He doesn't have to take any big risks. He is trying to catch FraZe, and you can see that FraZe is just waiting to see what move is K1llsen gonna make. I'm gonna go the other way.
One result of both players being a bit more defensive is that they lose each other quite a bit more often, and so kind of ironically, you end up with more surprising fights and situations than you would otherwise.
And, yeah, I mean, K1llsen will land something, but as you say, the pace is quite slow, and so there's ample amounts of armor and well, generally resources to go around. That said, K1llsen's going to be able to position himself on the red, but he doesn't actually want to take it immediately necessarily, but he will go for it straight away, get that out of the equation so he can just continue the hunt. And it looks like he will find FraZe. He's very careful not to take a stray rocket, and there you go, a clean shot.
All right, hopefully you can get a few more of those, but yeah, he hasn't really taken any damage from FraZe here in a little bit, nor has FraZe even really gotten a lock on his position and gotten into a point where he can throw out some spam. But he's looking for the position there on the red. K1llsen dropping down a little bit closer, so FraZe has to neatly back out of there. Mega's going to be up, but I'm not sure if FraZe is going to justify going in for it. Might try to get behind K1llsen, but I think K1llsen just wants to own everything at this point.
Yeah, there's a really big focus from him on just doing the basics and making sure that he has every item. And of course, it doesn't give him much opportunity to actually damage FraZe or catch him too much, but he's hoping that FraZe just has such little armor to play with generally that the damage he does do goes a little bit further than it would if he was playing a more aggressive style. And K1llsen once again just running these items, hoping for FraZe to make that mistake. But so far, FraZe hasn't been misstepping too heavily.
That's as always, a lot of these fights are going to end up centering around that 50 health. But yeah, right now, since it's tied 1-1, the clock burning down this way is kind of dangerous and risky for both players. We have FraZe throwing down a little bit of LG, which is actually good. It wasn't a lot of damage, but he finally got K1llsen in a position where K1llsen was not expecting him. Now K1llsen can still recover to the 50 health, but a lot of his armor and certainly his Mega have just disappeared.
Yeah, absolutely. He's in a lot of trouble from that perspective. He will catch a nice little flick rail onto FraZe there, as FraZe will be forced to the ground below, but actually he'll go back for the teleporter, perhaps for just to block off the angle, then perhaps to fall back onto the yellow. I think he actually did pick up the yellow instead. And K1llsen's going back now for the red, and is spawning very closely to that Mega health. So it's like both players will probably have a mutual agreement here to split these items, although K1llsen will go in for a bit of damage first, perhaps. Which
is important because FraZe was just getting to the point where he realized, all right, I've done enough damage, maybe I can plus forward a little bit. That rail from K1llsen kind of was a bit of a reset button as far as the pace goes here.
And so perhaps K1llsen, you know, it's very different. I think you made a good point. Might have to hold the fort though, as we do good at getting engagement. At least K1llsen's trying to force an altercation here between the two players, as he can protect that red armor, trying to get a bit of a pursuit on with the use of that teleporter, but he will be discarded by the rockets, although he will come out very well on the resources. Now he just has to win that Mega health again, and he's hoping he can get a good engagement here, because he hasn't really had a great one so far.
Yeah, but with that little fight, FraZe puts himself in a better position here, so K1llsen kind of forced to chase through the teleporter, opens himself to potential LG and rockets, and just isn't connecting. Here's FraZe with a really cheeky rocket jump, trying to get in close range and seal the deal on this one in order to buy himself a second frag, and there's the rail finally, with FraZe with plenty of health and now armor left over.
So it's actually really interesting because of the approach of K1llsen's actually put him in a position where he can be like this, like, because he can never find the engagements he wanted. You could always see he's very uncomfortable in the fights that FraZe would force onto him. So that's a great move by FraZe. He actually catches him with a bit of an ambush, and that is going to spell a lot of trouble right now because all the items are spawning. FraZe can top up on the Mega and keep the pursuit going. K1llsen must hit some rails from this position.
Wow. Again, we get to see so many more of those sneaky plays happen when they're both trying to be so quiet here. But K1llsen's taking a lot of damage. FraZe has him kind of backed up against the corner of that yellow armor, but he needs to decide whether it's worthwhile keeping him there or if he just needs to keep timing on the items. However, there's not a whole lot to shop for right now. Maybe, yeah, lower YA, he can at least do some real denial on K1llsen while he knows that there's nothing left available for him. If he leaves red and makes it appear like it's open, then he might be inviting K1llsen to a party for two.
I love how so confident we're seeing FraZe be in the way that he's making his decisions. He's just going for it. He's not questioning himself. But there you go. Finally gets caught by the rails of K1llsen. However, K1llsen is back to the tied situation, and previously he showed from a passive perspective that wasn't working for him. FraZe was actually taking, even though he would have worse stack, he would be able to outsmart K1llsen in a lot of those situations and force errors into K1llsen. So K1llsen, he needs to switch up the pace right now, and there's not much time left, so this would be the perfect moment to go for it. And the rockets are fantastic. There's the frag. He made it look so easy this time.
Yeah, I mean, if you can catch your opponent right in front of that jump pad, there's just nowhere really to go. But FraZe coming around this corner, I'm not sure what he meant to buy from that. So 2 frags up now, while by itself is not much. The way that these guys have been playing, it's almost miles apart.
Yeah, I think FraZe was just convinced that K1llsen would be standing on the Mega ledge, as I imagine FraZe was timing that specifically, but K1llsen too smart for that. Right place at the right time. And now FraZe has 2 minutes to try to figure out how he's going to get back into this one. And K1llsen can be even more passive than he was previously. Right. And he's starting to hit rails now as well. That's always a bonus.
Well, the gloves have come off, if not the gauntlets, but now FraZe only has the 1 minute and 40 seconds to turn up the heat and buy those 2 frags back. So he's got K1llsen back here in railgun, but he's not really willing to push through the doorway himself, especially since K1llsen go back for the rail twice. If only FraZe knew how much of an opportunity he had there.
And he might not find another one, as there is simply a very, very limited amount of time for him to work with. And K1llsen has a good position here. That's a great rail to connect as well. FraZe is going to feel very labored on, or any approach will feel very laborious at this point, as K1llsen is just going to keep playing these very smart positions which allow him easy escape, easy damage, and make life truly difficult for FraZe as he goes for pursuit again, committing into this fight with the lightning gun. K1llsen will deflect him once again, though.
Oh, that LG was dangerous for both of them there, but we've got yellow armor taken away by K1llsen, and no real response coming out of FraZe here. As Mega comes up, oh, the rocket's a little bit off point, but not the rail. Mega's still taken away by FraZe with the rocket to rail combo. The 50 health is still available, so again, it's just a little bit of give and take for both of these guys. But right now, 2 frags up from K1llsen. He just needs to survive.
And that was a great rocket as well from K1llsen. Also told him exactly where FraZe was in that moment. And again, just playing the hide-and-seek game. So can FraZe find K1llsen? Let's have a look at FraZe's perspective. And here he goes for the rocket jump. He spotted K1llsen, but it's such a hard spot. Will he go to the other end? Will he go down the jump pad? Will he go back up the jump pad? It's just so awkward. He's got to commit. He's got to make the right guess. And he will follow through with the LG. It's actually pretty good LG. K1llsen's incredibly weak. There's no 50 for him. And the frag is made. But 9 seconds to get himself a spawn frag.
Yeah, there's K1llsen. And he's doing damage out of the spawn as well, so with 2 seconds left, it's going to be a 1-frag game once again. K1llsen taking it just barely.
I really thought that FraZe had it, actually, because after we saw the start from K1llsen, and I was talking about how strong his fundamentals are, it really looked like when he was in control, he didn't know kind of how to capitalize on it at all. And it was instead FraZe just basically within the uncertainty of K1llsen, who was finding space to make plays, which was great to see. And of course, that allowed him to have lots of surprising fights where he just caught K1llsen in disadvantageous situations despite having a better stack. And so I felt like, all right, FraZe has got this. But then K1llsen just gets 2 easy frags and starts hitting rails all of a sudden.
And again, it gets incredibly tense when they both try to sneak around because the information game, there's just not as much to work with as usual. You know, usually you're bouncing around, you know, strafe jumping everywhere, being incredibly noisy about it, rocket jumping, spamming, throwing down grenades and rockets. But, you know, we have no arrow walk here, so the cause for spam is not quite as much as it would be otherwise. And so you just end up with, we've seen more surprises and, you know, catching people behind their backs than I've seen at any other QuakeCon.
It's fun, isn't it? I always love that kind of situation. It's always really nice to see when players aren't expecting things to go the way that they perhaps thought they would. And we will get the second match starting here. A bit of Bloodrun. I feel like this is very advantageous for K1llsen. It was always a great map for him, and off the start already, got a bit of a shotgun versus machine gun battle. And, well, K1llsen's going to knock FraZe down as he tries to go for the red, and indeed, quite awkward.
But his machine gun accuracy is on point. Oh! Was that shotgun or was it gauntlet? Okay, it was shotgun. All right, so there's a little bit of respect there at least. So, all right, cool. We got an opening frag there, but that's actually really good because, whoa, nice. So both of them have something to gain here. You know, K1llsen wants to get back up on the board, obviously, so he's going to try to pump the gas a little bit more. FraZe wants to extend his lead, so immediately, right out of the gate, neither of these guys can really afford to avoid fights.
Yeah, and I would imagine that actually K1llsen would take a more, what I would say is, you know, personally, what I would say is more of a sensible approach as opposed to the kind of the rush down that Evil really likes to do, because Evil will do that for the first like 2 or 3 deaths, and he'll land himself around 3 to 5 frags deficit, and then he'll stop and go super passive. But I often find that he can throw the game away. But that's a specific style that works quite well for him. So we're going to see K1llsen play the more standard style out of control, run the armors. Once you have enough armor and you've got time on the Mega, you can dive on it, or likewise the red armor, and kind of use that as effective armor in the fight. You kind of calculate that to even out the stacks. And right now everything's up, actually. So FraZe actually has a really good position here onto K1llsen, but there's a couple grenades stop FraZe from having an angle.
Well, already we have split timing between the red and the Mega, which makes things a little bit difficult for FraZe. He's looking for K1llsen to make an entry on yellow armor, trying to bait it out for just a second before committing to it himself, which gives him time to come down here and set up nicely on red armor. Well, I say set up nicely, sometimes it just means walking into a rail, maybe even 2.
And the patience here from FraZe, you can hear the presence of K1llsen looming below. Not a fun thing. Wants to do a little bit of damage to scare him off first, but there's the helpful rail to make sure that rocket jump goes to completion. There's red armor taken away from FraZe, as well as a lot of damage. None of these grenades are homing in on K1llsen's face, however, as K1llsen is now just about fully stacked up. So once again, the hunt is on, and we can see the perspective of FraZe as he tries to keep himself safe, but not sure if he's doing a great job at it there as he gets caught by K1llsen unbeknownst to him until the last moment, losing a lot of health and armor, and it's not armor and health he can, in the short term, easily replenish, especially not now. That is a very meaty grenade.
One that kind of locks you right in your tracks. 41 health. He doesn't really have anywhere better to be right now. Oh, okay. All right, popping back to the teleporter, looking for health bubs. But none of them are picked up. None of them are available either. But there's the 225s. At least they're not split timing. That's one relief. But he spent the last minute here just playing the recovery game. As K1llsen finds him finally on the staircase, it's going to be his grave. As he finally gets back up on the board, finally pushing that advantage into actual real numbers.
And that one grenade that connected to FraZe, if he had survived, it would still have actually set him back.
I didn't plan for getting hit by a grenade right now. Yeah.
I mean, that's like almost a 2-minute setback potentially, because he had around 50, 60 armor. He could have got one more yellow and then maybe even pressured an item or stolen something away. Could have taken options, but with 40 health and nothing, you're just off the map completely. There's
Wait
nothing
for 25s is what you do.
Yeah, that is terrible. You give so much space away. It's a really frustrating position. But he still has one frag in advantage. But K1llsen, as we can see, is again on the hunt.
All right, that one rocket jump might help him get a little bit closer and more personal with FraZe, which I'm sure he wants right now. One frag behind him. And he's got every advantage except the frag itself. So just double tapping between one end of the 50 hallway and the other. Just looking for FraZe to commit to one or the other. He's going to commit for him, trying to use the grenades as a smoke screen, but FraZe is already gone.
That's a really smart, quite cute move, but luckily for FraZe, he did actually decide to go the other route. That said, he's getting a lot of connections with these rockets. Yeah. The Mega is stolen away, though, in position. Should be quite possible here for K1llsen if he chooses to take it through the teleporter. And yeah, he's got a great spot now to just steal away the red. And you can see FraZe doesn't really want anything to do with it. He realizes that K1llsen's very stacked, and he wants to just look after his own resources instead of taking little engagements and playing a war of attrition that he simply cannot win at this stage.
And at the same time trying to take away enough yellows to kind of even up the score when they do get to a fight. And there's the trap. Well, I say trap, but FraZe is going to take that yellow armor, not really do a lot of damage, and then probably fade away through the teleporter here. But that means that K1llsen can only hope to rail or LG FraZe, as he likely is going to take a jump up for this red. Well, that one rail might change his mind, but there's the grab. K1llsen looking for a little bit more splash out of the rockets. Not going to happen, though. So all in all, pretty much dead even there.
And, I mean, K1llsen is not super strong, and this is going to help 2 direct rockets. Thank you very much, says FraZe, as now he's in a great position to start taking control of the match back. But he has to find a way to frag K1llsen, as he's so weak, and he will find him. All 5 HP is left. FraZe must finish him off. K1llsen has to be so careful.
There's the teleporter. Good damage. I mean, getting 75 with 5 HP is certainly worthwhile. And it bounced him off the red. Oh! How can he survive another hit like that? We have K1llsen down at 5 health, but still sticking it in and tying it back up 2-2, and taking the red and taking the Mega, all the above, and a rail off the spawn on FraZe as well. So FraZe has definitely got to change his pacing here a little bit. A lot of it, actually.
That's crazy. It looked like with 5 HP, he's like looking over the edge, like, yeah, I want another shot. Yeah, I actually want to jump across to take that red armor, actually. So K1llsen almost playing without a HUD, perhaps, and doesn't know how weak he is.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a good psychological trick to just take a bit of tape and put it over your head.
Yeah.
I don't need to know the health.
And once again, K1llsen's back in control of the pace of the match. It really looked like FraZe was in a great position, but the rails are starting to connect, and that is going to be wearing very heavy over FraZe at the moment as he goes down again, very weak. Just a little bit of a lick from the LG, and that's enough to take him down. 4-2 now as K1llsen is firmly in control. And one way for FraZe to look at it is he's got to say, okay, 3.5 minutes essentially to
plenty of time
to get a stack and to challenge and try to win a fight over an item. Because if he dies again, then I fear for his chances.
Right. They're not looking all that great just now either, but yeah, he needs to find a way to get some initial damage in, follow through. Mega, opportunity loss, but honestly, Mega is probably the most dangerous place to try to make that fight happen. It's very difficult to set up an angle without taking a lot of damage yourself, but those rockets certainly do a lot of good work, so 100-100 for K1llsen. FraZe is just barely treading water on his own stack, however.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword insofar as FraZe does the damage, which does keep K1llsen off his back, switches K1llsen's priorities into picking up some more stack. But that's stack that FraZe kind of wants to take, especially if it's the yellows. Yeah. So it's a pretty awkward situation overall for FraZe. He's got to be thinking about that one situation in maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes time, where he gets the frag and hopefully a follow-up. That's kind of how he wins this match, this map now.
So there's another Mega taken away by K1llsen, and a beautiful rail on the pickup for the red. A red that, yeah, FraZe probably really didn't need to take to justify any sort of fight coming into this. But it might have been better for him to die and get a fresh stack because, again, he needs to kind of recover on the 25s. No 5s for him. K1llsen's going to take all of those as well. So 2 frags up, and he's not only lost stack and angle on the shots, he's also lost track of where K1llsen is. I think that was a perfectly unanticipated shot from K1llsen. Oh, there's the LG, though. That'll help. That'll help a lot, actually. Holy crap.
going for the levitation, and this is perfect for FraZe, actually picking up the mega health in the process. And K1llsen's only objective was actually just to keep some consistent damage on FraZe. He never would have had to get any more kills, as he has already the 2-frag lead. He just has to keep FraZe away from a playmaking situation. Oh, the facial.
Walk
Why
right
not?
into it. All right, well, let's trade it off at the very least. So they're both going to be just scrounging for any sort of health and/or armor here. But the jump shot from the rail. Oh my God, K1llsen putting it together, and there's that 5th frag you were talking about. This makes things very difficult. However, K1llsen is incredibly weak here. He's going to try to hide by the teleporter here for a little bit of time, but look, wow, geez, anticipated shot much, geez.
Yeah, every time you think that K1llsen, or rather FraZe, is getting back in, K1llsen suddenly finds a railgun, like clutch rails with 5 HP or something like that.
You think he was like counting down on his fingers the time to shoot that rail out?
It felt like it, yeah. He's definitely got the clutch rails going, and it's been saving his ass, I think, because FraZe has been playing pretty well overall, to be honest. And he's got a minute to get 3 frags. I mean, it is obviously it's possible. The problem is he hasn't really got a good read on K1llsen just yet.
Right. Even if K1llsen decides to just do teleporter trolling for the rest of the time.
1 minute warning.
Yeah.
And he might do, actually. Well, at least until he hears from FraZe, he has no real reason to leave. Grenade launcher, but there he is coming up the stairs. K1llsen looked left when he should have looked right. Down to 56 health. One little bit more of LG will do it. So with 45 seconds left, he needs to pick up 2 frags. And if the spawns are lucky, it's certainly doable. We'll see if K1llsen can run away.
FraZe has to be perfect in this situation. He's done the hard bit. Although that said, it is still pretty hard no matter how you look at it. That said, he will find him. Again, K1llsen getting caught off guard. We saw it on the last map from FraZe. Is he doing it again in the most crucial, most pivotal moments of the second map to keep himself in this?
FraZe wanted yellow armor and then rockets, and I can't really blame him, but it's painful watching him have to go up that jump pad when there's just no time to find FraZe. Where is FraZe, actually? I'm sorry, where's K1llsen? He's still hanging out with, oh, there's the 1 rail, 20 health will do it. He's looking for that last little bit. He goes to the jump pad, and there's no way to prevent that shot. That's going to be the overtime, the first here in the series.
Yeah, he had a couple of seconds to spare. Beautiful work from FraZe. He's looking to pick up the follow-up there off the spawn. Although he himself is quite weak, the rail will seal the deal, at least for the first frag, to give him the lead there into overtime. But now he's got to keep control of his health situation.
No.
Oh, no. A little bit of indecision there. He really wanted that mega badly, but he hung around just for a second too long.
This is starting to look like a Quake match. Yeah. All right, so we've got red armor taken away as FraZe finds K1llsen on the spawn. That's pretty much a freebie. But he's going to take very little damage in that fight, so he should be able to extend that for a bit more time. But now 2 frags. That was the entire spread we were worried about for the rest of the time anyway. So I think K1llsen, running up with the railgun like that, I think he might have lost his hope.
And we'll see if he can do to FraZe as FraZe did to him. But that is a sweet, sweet payback for FraZe, I think, after the first map. He just has to close now, but again, he can do the teleporter hijinks if he really chooses to do so. I mean, that's very possible.
It's got to be almost impossible to maintain composure after being so close to taking that victory with 2 seconds to spare and getting caught in the teleporter. Just the fact that he moved back there was a sign of lost composure, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You should not lose from that point on Bloodrun.
Who decided that it was a good idea to have a jump pad there? Stairs were so much better.
A good old jump pad.
All right, but 30 seconds left, and I think FraZe is doing a little bit of a victory lap here. Yeah, and that'll put them up 1-1.
Wow. You want lifts, though, don't you? To be honest, you'd prefer a lift, wouldn't you?
No, I think the stairs are a little bit more ideal there.
You think so?
Yeah.
And I'm just appealing to your, Quake 1 sensibilities, where you would have a lot of lifts instead of jump pads,
Quake 2 was the lift game
lifts.
for sure. Yeah, definitely.
I love the sound, actually. But I feel like that is definitely something to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah. we got time, yeah.
Yeah.
So much Quake to choose from.
Absolutely. But great comeback from FraZe. Really good stuff to see. Obviously able to hit the clutch shots he needed to hit. He never had a lack of focus as to do, with what he had to do. And he was very decisive. I actually feel like K1llsen was the less decisive player of the two, despite perhaps being overall a little bit better. So that kind of gives us an even exciting matchup. Yeah.
Absolutely, but it was a good time to kind of change the gears and make that comeback happen. And again, hiding in Bloodrun is one thing. Getting caught is a whole nother thing. I mean, you can hide and run, and as long as they never see you, cool. I mean, the one place where you can really go, all right, they know I'm here and they can't really do much about it is down by the teleporter. But yeah, getting caught in the hallway like that, it's nasty business.
Yeah, oh yeah, and FraZe seems to have a knack, seemingly, across this series for catching for catching K1llsen, which is quite cool.
It's
again,
not easy. Absolutely not.
No, it's not. I mean, it's almost reminiscent to a player that knows another player particularly well. But I don't know. It's interesting. We'll have to see if it's going to persist on Hectic. I feel like Hectic is going to be actually a great map for both players. K1llsen, obviously, the rail machine, loves railing, and that's a really big part of this map. But equally, FraZe, who was a guy that loved toxicity, there are some similarities between toxicity and Hectic in that sense.
Yeah, however, I'm starting to get out of the habit of saying that Hectic is a faster-paced map. Just because the way that these guys have been playing, not only here at QuakeCon, but in the Road to QuakeCon series leading up to this, a lot of the online tournaments coming up to QuakeCon, we've even seen Hectic matches have score lines of like less than 8.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a funny one.
We're not playing
okay,
anyway.
We're going to Cure.
Speaking of slow.
Well, there you go. There goes our pregame.
Yeah.
In the bin.
Yep.
In the bin. So, Cure's a great... I actually enjoy Cure. Playing it, I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Beautiful map. Yeah,
it is.
It's got the nice 3 atrium rotation. A lot of room for trickery.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of cool decision making going on that map, and you can play very, very passively, very defensively, and you can get your aggression on as well.
A lot of neat decisions you can make. You can decide not to frag each other for 20 minutes.
I hear a little bit of bitterness there.
Oh man,
that's some PTSD perhaps.
It's getting there, yeah.
Some flashbacks.
All right, so you just saw a beautiful kind of video run through of Hectic. We might be able to get one for Cure as well.
That'd be fantastic. It's all good.
All right, but they never ended up voting it, so maybe he's not at his seat.
The funny thing is that from how both players have been playing as well, I feel like going into Cure. Let's just one more time. Yeah. Going into Cure, I would actually say that I feel like FraZe has an advantage because, as you say, there's a lot of tricksy stuff you can do on Cure, and I feel like right now, FraZe is showing us much more agile gameplay, generally speaking. Yeah. I feel like out of K1llsen we're getting something more standard, but I feel like FraZe is going to be better at adapting to what K1llsen is doing if he's playing slow. So I think this is a good one. We're going to be jumping into it. Let's see how the start works.
All right, it's certainly going to show itself well here. Once again, K1llsen being rather aggressive with the machine gun off the start, getting eyes on FraZe as he takes away Mega. K1llsen going in for not red just yet, but wanting to make sure he's hot on the weapon so far. FraZe going over for the YA instead, fairly conservative out of FraZe there, so K1llsen is going to be given a nice opportunity to kind of leisurely take items here. But as he comes back into the red room, FraZe is already going to be there.
And this first frag is very, very important if one of them is to be able to actually close it down. And it looks like K1llsen actually has a good position to go onto the red, but the Mega spawns at the same time. However, it would actually be possible if K1llsen's able to just secure this, although he's taking a lot of damage, and the rockets are going to be good. And FraZe, he can get himself on top of that Mega and keep control or tabs on the LG.
Somebody died. I'm so happy. All right, but that'll put FraZe one up. How long was he standing there? K1llsen just looking, all right, he's going to jump for rail in 3, 2. All right, rocket, good. But out of the teleporter, they're both doing so much damage to each other. FraZe looking for the last little lick with the LG. Not quite going to get it. That last rocket barely missing FraZe as he's looking for a grab of this red armor. So K1llsen's going to be limping out of there. This is another one of those situations where just, you know, slash kill, give yourself a fresh start, a fresh spawn. But running this and taking away the 25s, hopefully the 50 for him, is going to cost him more time. But the Mega will help there as well. But no damage is coming out of K1llsen here. Does he have a rail? I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, that's the problem for K1llsen. He loses a lot of his health and armor in that situation, down to, I think, a mere 30-40 health. Trying to play for that red, but he will get nailed again by the rockets of FraZe. He's been fairly adept with that so far as he looks for a follow-up as well, swinging by the shards. He will get a good beat. In fact, K1llsen is just going to be facing him directly, and he's going to get carved up by that LG. This is very problematic right now. Again, K1llsen just loses all of the health and armor that he picked up, and that's going to keep FraZe ahead in this situation.
I mean, FraZe, I think, stopped chasing just because he felt bad. I don't know why K1llsen came back into that fight, but there's the fresh spawn. Oh, and a rail right off of it, so this might be a very quick freebie. So 4 up on 0, 2 minutes in. K1llsen no longer has any option to try to be tricky or, you know, smart or anything. I mean, this is the time to break out that good old trusty W button.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough situation because I feel like, well,
hey, there we go. There we go.
It keeps happening.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, good LG coming out of him, though. He got a lot of damage off before getting taken down himself. So now FraZe, even though he's got the red armor, if he could be prevented from getting this Mega for free, that could do very well for K1llsen. He's going to have the rail here. He's going to be stuck up there. But as FraZe goes for this Mega, he might be able to come around the corner and ask for a pixel shot. Now he's going to leave it up. This is dangerous. I mean, if FraZe stacks back up to a full 200, yeah, K1llsen's going to be in a lot of trouble. Because you're only really left with that yellow armor to recover on.
Yeah, and I feel like FraZe will actually be aggressive as well instead of trying to force K1llsen to come to him. And again, it is K1llsen who has to do that. It's his prerogative as he's behind. And, well, FraZe, he's trying to get in there, but again, he doesn't want to lose too much health and armor. He just he wants to force K1llsen to keep him out of position as far as pursuit goes, but he wants to make sure that K1llsen does lose some health and armor as well. But K1llsen's going to go and keep pressure on this red armor, so he might actually be able to steal it away, because right now, FraZe has the mega health to worry about as well. I don't know if K1llsen can be able to steal that. He will. Very nicely done by K1llsen.
All right, I take it back. K1llsen does have more than one way to be smart here. He's putting pressure on items and stealing them at the same time. That's certainly a neat trick, one that FraZe, I'm sure, wasn't counting on. So FraZe right now, he's well stacked up, but he's completely lost track of where K1llsen is. There we go, found him, found him.
Yeah, and the rockets will find him.
That's a lot of damage, ow. So K1llsen getting a couple item steals is so difficult to recover from shots like that.
And K1llsen did a lot of damage actually to FraZe despite going down in that fight, to be honest. And another catch as K1llsen tries to sprint onto that LG position, just nothing but rockets to work with. He knows FraZe is low, but he can't find a finish. He was at risk himself, but he's going to come back in with the rockets there. Again, just has rockets to work with. He's making this fight look a lot better than it should look. Finally stealing away the LG. FraZe misses the vertical shot on the rail as he goes around back for that red armor pickup, and K1llsen's a little bit too early, and that's just not going to pan out. And FraZe is going to pick up the red clean. That's a bad situation, and the follow-up might be good here for K1llsen.
This might be a good time for K1llsen to switch to rail on his loadout.
Yeah.
All right, but 8 up on nil. This is not the Cure game I was expecting. I mean, we've seen less frags than this on Hectic so far today. So halfway through, yeah, K1llsen again. I think he's coming up with some neat ideas here, but they haven't really been paying off. Well, that rocket will certainly help out. Down to 8 health. FraZe is going to be on the top of the map, so he can kind of decide how to move through red over to yellow. But so far, it looks like it's been safe, as K1llsen is going to take that opportunity not to punish FraZe and finally get a frag on the board, but just to take items. But what are you doing in there?
Oh, he slipped. It's just the edges are slippery, man.
Yeah,
Someone should put up a sign.
No running by the pool.
So it's just looking like FraZe is having a bit of a good time at the moment. There is still obviously a possibility for K1llsen to get back, but he has to get increasingly aggressive once he finds a good position to do so. And I feel like he's kind of not measuring out some of those positions in the best way. He will actually be able to steal away the red, which is nice, considering that FraZe is so low, but that's an investment of a depth to deny the red and allow K1llsen to have some space to get the pressure on. But the rockets are just so on point from FraZe.
Absolutely, and I think it's like 2 or 3 times now we've seen FraZe get knocked down to maybe 8 health, and then K1llsen goes, all right, I'm not going to try to trap him and get on the board finally. I'm going to go take red, which is great, but FraZe is able to recover pretty quickly as well. So that's going to make it 11 now as we have 4 minutes left. So Mega's going to be up. Can K1llsen grab anything quickly and at least make a presence there? Not so much. Red is going to be incredibly dangerous for K1llsen to be at right now. Unfortunately, that also means that K1llsen can't really get any of the weapons that he really wants. He might be stuck with rocket launcher here for this next fight. He finally goes in for LG, but that still takes him out of the fight here for red.
So another engagement found.
Okay.
A very suboptimal engagement for K1llsen, facing up against an LG close range with a rail up. That's not how you want to do it. Another situation of a misjudgment on how things are going to be working out with the proximities like for K1llsen versus FraZe. That's been giving FraZe so many amazing engagements. And again, just a beautiful situation. Using the LG there, K1llsen couldn't land anything. Again, disadvantageous fight for him to take. So starting to feel a lot of frustration, I think, from the German player in K1llsen.
FraZe has got to be feeling good here. He is pushing in for a lot of these fights and giving himself a nice score indeed. So that's going to put FraZe on match point here.
Wow, there you go. I mean, we didn't know what to expect necessarily. Obviously, we saw some good stuff from FraZe and the results that he's been having so far, but we expected some more from K1llsen. Yeah. Let's get that camera running in his face.
All right, well, we're not there yet. He has no reason to get quite that stressed just yet. Just 1 or 2 breaths as we move into the next map, which might be hectic, I guess.
Well, I hope so. We did two little map previews of it,
we
little
ran the video
run-throughs.
twice, so we might as well. Yeah. All right, it's going to be Sinister. All right, no argument for me. I do love Sinister.
Yeah, and it's again, actually, this is a very good map, I think, for K1llsen typically, as it should play more to his style, because, again, K1llsen is a player that's good at Bloodrun. This is a map that shares a lot of similarities to Bloodrun. It gives him the rail as well as that slower pace style. So I feel like it should be good for him, but let's see. We're about to kick things off. Will FraZe continue the momentum? K1llsen's on the Mega starts and the rail.
All right, so that's going to be Mega and Rail to Yellow Armor, so fairly standard here. I mean, this map is big enough that once you get your side and you decide that your opponent isn't on the same side, it gets a little bit textbook, but that's all right, because after you get your initial pickup, yeah, all right, that's almost textbook by itself now. I've seen that shot happen so many times as the first rail for the Red Armor player goes all sorts of wrong.
And I was surprised, actually, that we didn't get potentially a trap from FraZe onto the LG pickup. Instead, FraZe prioritized taking the railgun himself over trying to stop K1llsen from getting the LG. So an interesting choice that you can see early on this map. And K1llsen, after that rail shot, he's just got that stack advantage that FraZe is just not comfortable trying to even challenge for anything. So now K1llsen just has the map, and FraZe is just resigned to saying, okay, I'm going to hold my hands up. You have the map. I'm going to have to take this one slow.
All right, but he's going to be a little bit late on the Red Armor here, maybe even baiting it out for FraZe, and FraZe is not even going to show up. In fact, is he still here?
It's just really nice to offset the timing at the very least.
Right.
As long as he doesn't make it clash with the Mega, he's fine. Of course, he will be able to easily avoid that.
Up, down to the water, so I'm sure he was checking through the teleporter just as K1llsen was leaving with the Red Armor. So that means that Mega's going to be back up, and I'm not sure if FraZe was going to be in earshot of that pickup either, so maybe we're looking at a situation where he's even lost timing on the items.
So, I mean, we've been in this position before with K1llsen on Bloodrun, actually, where he was able to confidently take the items and cycle them, but then this part is the hard bit, where now I have to use it for something.
Now
what? Exactly. So let's see if he can make amends or redeem himself for the Bloodrun play, where he wasn't able to catch FraZe.
Right, so this gives FraZe enough time to enjoy those yellows, and really you have to make an attack here happen, and most likely it's going to be coming up the stairs on Red Armor. Oh, jeez. Yeah, punishing him for even daring to show up on that red. And so he's going to be, well, okay, maybe he mistimed that himself now. He's creating a bit of an item clash, and that's going to create a really big opportunity for FraZe. He's going to need to nail in some more of those rails in order to keep FraZe off his back.
And I mean, I can understand K1llsen's initial approach here, where if you have full control and you're hitting your rail shots, you can play the war of attrition. Eventually you hit a shot and they just don't have the health to take it, and they'll die. And that's a great approach to kick things off with, but it's 0-0. So you actually have some pressure to get a frag, because otherwise at some point you could very well lose control, or a convoluted situation happens where they get an even spot to fight you on. And then you wasted all that time where you had control and an advantage, but you never found a frag with it. So he needs to at least get a lead with this stack, otherwise I'm getting worried, because that's exactly what happened on Bloodrun to him.
Right. Yeah, stacks are transient, frags are forever. All right, so FraZe now. Yeah. We've got K1llsen, again, enjoying a stack and just wondering how to turn it into an actual score here. Anticipating a attack on Mega, but so far from what we've seen from FraZe, that's not really a style. He's much more likely going to be attacking at range on the red, but he's not even really doing much of that, throwing out a few perfunctory grenades and not really much else. So again, K1llsen's kind of given free reign not only of the items but of the timing. He kind of gets to write the script of when they show up again. But up here on the Yellow Armor jump pad, does this fight really need to be happening for either of these guys? Stack? What stack? FraZe just took him down from 200-200. And there's the rail off of it as well, and no Red Armor either. It's going to come out. FraZe is incredibly weak here, but that should still be a safe grab. Mega's going to be up, and that's going to be unavoidably tradable. But that gives FraZe a very quick conversion from 200-200 on K1llsen to 2 frags up for FraZe, just like you said.
Yeah, and that's the situation we're talking about with K1llsen. You see how uncomfortable he is in trying to find the fight. He picks one, and he's not even sure which weapon to use, and now the follow comes in from FraZe. It's close, and now FraZe is probably a little bit afraid of the potential for getting just machine gunned off the spawn, but he's going to be okay. He will pick up that Red Armor. The timing to win that fight was quite good for FraZe, again, as that armor was just popping up, and he can get enough health and armor to, if he wants to, dive on the Mega. But at this point, although he gets a very chunky connection out of a grenade there, at this point, he realizes when the Mega's spawning, he should have a time on it. So FraZe is setting himself, he just has to set himself up properly for the next Mega now. And once he's taken that, he can actually focus on fragging K1llsen. He's shown much better efforts at hunting than K1llsen.
Yeah, he doesn't even really need that red armor too much. He just needs a good position on this next red, especially if it means he can punish for popping through the teleporter there. Decent damage. He's got his back up against the wall here, quite literally, but he's still stabbing out with a lot of that LG and not a whole lot of response coming from K1llsen's rail. There's the one finally, and that's going to cause FraZe to have to leave the Mega. He's going to come back just in time to wave it goodbye.
He got the time for it. Oh, the rocket jump comes in.
Wow. Wow, K1llsen, beautiful. Not so unpraisable after all. But we've got, he's gonna, I'm sure that was a bit of a surprise for FraZe because the natural thing, of course, is to take Mega. Red's coming up, splish splash through the teleporter and go get that nice and safe. But K1llsen knew he needed to make these frags back up.
Yeah, it's a really nice, nice move, and that is the kind of stuff we need to be seeing more from K1llsen, because otherwise his in-control play looked fairly uninspired when he had to try to outsmart his opponent. That's the first time we really saw it. This is a nice read. He goes to look for the corner, but still FraZe connects the rockets to catch the kill and reassert himself back on the map. And the Mega was just picked up by K1llsen off the spawn, so that is something for K1llsen to work with. But he needs weapons, so he will find a rail very quickly, and it connects one, so he might be able to also take the LG. That's very important for him to actually string together these pickups of the weapons, and I wonder if FraZe will even be concerned himself with denying those. I think he's more concerned with his own stack at this point and position for Red.
But wanting to reset back up to 200, I mean, it didn't serve him too well last time. But he's only 2 frags down at this point. FraZe looking to just do enough damage to keep him off his back. But K1llsen is going to be right back on top of this Mega. Can try to push in, but was that the Rocket Splash or the LG that kept him off of there? Either way, it's going to be FraZe taking frag number 5.
FraZe is back on it, and now K1llsen's going to go in for the pressure, and he gets knocked all the way down. It's a long way down, and perhaps in that time K1llsen has had some time to think about his mistakes.
That was the right choice, yeah.
And that's what he decided to do.
That was tactical. That was good. Just a relief from the frustration by itself. So now 5-1. This should be a fairly clean Mega. However, yeah, FraZe is making another good choice here. Going to put pressure on this red, as K1llsen was hoping that it would be free for him to take. So it's going to be traded off there. But I think FraZe got a little bit more damage out of that fight, especially since he can take YA directly afterwards. K1llsen, not quite so lucky.
And FraZe is just going to, well, see K1llsen just nonchalantly just running through the teleporter there. Doesn't seem to care too much.
See what the other side of the map, I guess. Yeah. Oh, I beat you too, though.
He did.
This time,
that's why I had
this
to
time.
do it.
Yeah.
I want to just
I'm
keep
sure
doing
he's
that
never
now,
heard it before.
Yeah.
I'm sure. All right, so yellow armor taken by FraZe here. We have a nice salutationary rail coming out of K1llsen. Not much more than that so far, as FraZe is trying to get it close. Oh, he's going to get it, and K1llsen's going to be launching himself out with the LG. The rockets are solid, but K1llsen's last rocket doing the job.
Yeah, from both players, those rockets were just sublime, and K1llsen has himself something to work with, but he hasn't got too much time. That's kind of a big problem for him to try to work with, and everything's basically spawning at the same time, which is pretty much the worst situation for K1llsen, because he could actually really assert himself, and if he picked the right one to assert himself on and maybe win a fight on one of the items, he could start dominating the map with the 2 minutes that remain. But right now, it's a massive guess.
Oh, wow. I would not have generally recommended, yeah. If you're trying to dominate both items going through the teleporters, the shortest but the most dangerous path. He actually got kind of the drop on FraZe there, but no, the rockets did not go his way.
Yeah, FraZe has been playing very, very well with the rockets. Actually, his in-fight decisions have been very good, and it's been rewarding him consistently so far. And he's looking at closing this one down. It's a 4-frag lead for him, and I don't really see how he would throw it away. He's been playing quite smart so far, and as long as he keeps himself keeps K1llsen just funneling himself through choke points and playing disadvantageous situations, he's good. And there it is. LG, no response basically at all. So there it is, the GG, the forfeit, 7-2 FraZe winning another map. This guy is doing some work. He's doing some work.
You wanted to say it, didn't you?
No, no, I'm not doing it again. When I said it, I try to say it just to allow people to understand how disgusted I was with myself when I said it. So
you need to let that go.
Yeah.
But what an amazing series.
Yeah, no, of course.
So many different playstyles. Again, I think the fact that they by default want to play more defensively, there's less information to go around, and so you would see like, okay, well, I could try this, and the other guy's no idea what's coming at him. You know, being able to hide around the corner of the teleporter, if they were both playing at a fairly high pace, they would be checking that corner all the time, but sneaky, not so much.
Oh, yeah. It's so cool how FraZe is able to essentially always be the guy getting the drop on K1llsen. And it was quite interesting, too, because K1llsen, I felt like in the majority of situations, would have actually more control than FraZe. But FraZe's handling his out-of-control situations so much better. And it was cool to see that dynamic from him because, again, I was talking about it before. We brought up metagame previously and the fact that FraZe is probably one of the players that has played least against some of these guys. So it's going to be more of a new experience for him. And for him to be able to read them well, to that level, to be able to take the series, that's just awesome to see, isn't it? How can you not be a fan of that?
Definitely. Well, it means we've got more than one Australian in the upper bracket, as far as I know. Yeah. So I think we're going to keep continuing with, maybe we even have another left in this round. Let's find out where we're at. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so we've got Evil and Zorak War there. Rafa and Sparty are going to be going into that round. That'll be good stuff. Evil and Zorak War, wow, that'll be a heck of a game. I'm wondering where we're at with it at this point. Oh, we've actually got... okay.
Fancy graphics.
Yeah. I was wondering if these were updated or any different, but no, it looks like we're in the same state here. So we got Rafa 04, Sparty Chance, Evil Zorak War, and K1llsen FraZe, which we just finished up with. But yeah.
Zorak War is he's an interesting player because
he's still here. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, there have been so many good matches that we haven't had the opportunity to look at him.
To catch him all?
Yeah. Well, geez. All right. I'm a little disgusted with you now. But yeah, the fact that he's still in this, I mean, I think up against Evil, it's going to be kind of rough. Maybe. I mean, he's apparently been doing just fine here so far today, going up against K1llsen and QR. So yeah, Sparty Chance, that would also be a very fun one just to watch physically.
Yeah,
I'm sure that'll be a barrel of laughs, that one.
I mean, the cool thing with Chance as well is that there's a lot of people that really felt like he could be a tournament winner, basically, for quite a long time, because his understanding of the game was very, very good from the theoretical standpoint. He really understands the game very well, but it was always kind of his mechanics that really let him down. And that's why him against Sparty is always kind of fun, because Sparty is always the mechanical monster. And you know, when he's really in form, you see very robotic timing, you see amazing aim, very flawless aim and in-fight abilities. And so you get the clash of the two opposites, basically, which is just awesome. It's like the right side of the brain fighting the left side of the brain. Just
and I think Chance is just very much at home in a LAN environment like this. I mean, more than just the ping itself, I think just being around all the other people and being in a nice air-conditioned room does a lot for him.
He's a really good tournament player, actually. Really good LAN player, that's for sure. He's a very exciting guy to watch. And speaking of players from North America, I briefly brought up Zorak War. He was actually another one of the kind of up-and-comers. And it's kind of rare that you get those in, you know, and I remember sensing frustration from him some years ago because the scene wasn't as vibrant as perhaps he would have liked, because he wanted to have that perfect environment to grow and improve. But I think he felt like at that point a couple of years back that it's hard to find the right practice partners.
But the mentors that he's made here, I think it started when he came to QuakeCon. You know, he had kind of made a name for himself in some of the online cups, some of the 125 and some of the Sunday cups, and so we all knew who he was. He played a bit in our King of the Hill stuff, but when he got here to QuakeCon, his sponginess, I guess, for just absorbing all the information and all the tactics, I think he really he made a lot of friends here very quickly. I think there's a lot of respect for the guy now. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's a kind of very tight-knit community, and if you make your way there and you love the game, that's all that's basically all you need. So that's your entry.
Initially,
your card,
if he didn't find the right peers and the right training partners, he certainly found them here at QuakeCon, and I think he's been taken under the wing kind of collectively by a lot of these senior players, and he's absorbing everything they're throwing at him, rockets mostly.
Yeah, that's really cool. I can't wait to see how he does. Hopefully, he continues to win. But we'll have to see how that works out.
We might see that one next match. Honestly, I don't know what we're doing next, so we're about to find out.
So, all right. So, so we're going to take a quick break then whilst we figure out who is to play next on the stream at the very least. And, well, don't go anywhere. We'll be back very soon. Tell your friends, and we shall see you here at QuakeCon 2016 for more Quake action very soon.